Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know by now I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, I've recently purchased the Fujifilm X-S10 and I've done a quick introduction review. It'll be linked up here or up here somewhere. And it was just a brief overview of this particular camera, both as a stills camera and as a video camera. Although that video, after I edited it, I realised it was more orientated towards photography than it was video. So I felt the need to cover video a little bit more in detail, and it's not great detail but a little bit more detail. So we're going to go through the X-S10 as a video camera in this video, and this is the camera. I think most people are fairly familiar with the camera and with Fuji cameras. It is a slight departure on, well, quite a bit departure on the Fuji X-T3, X-T4, 20, 30, etc. Because on the top here, they've put a PASM dial, program, automatic, manual, shutter speed, aperture priority, etc. Where with the other cameras, it's got a separate ISO dial, shutter speed dial, a more retro looking camera. This isn't, this is a more modern looking camera. It's a great compact design, a great grip, but it's particularly the video features that we're looking at. So on this camera, you have got full HD, obviously, slow motion in various flavors, whether it be 4x slow motion, 8x slow motion. You've got 4K at 25p, 30p and different bit rates. You've also got DCI, which is cinema 4K. That's a 17:9 aspect ratio, and that's great if you're doing, cinema commercials or you actually want that cinematic look, particularly if you're shooting at 24 frames a second. This camera will do it. A lot of cameras won't do cinema 4K. This one will, which is great. There's no crop. There's a little bit of a crop if you put the IBIS in boost mode, but in normal mode, normal IBIS, there is no crop, and that's great. It is an APS-C sensor, so you wouldn't want it cropping anymore. Although I know the Canons do, and quite a few cameras do, and certainly the Canon 4K cameras, such as my EOS R, I'm filming this close-up shot on, that's actually filming in APS-C mode because it crops it so tight. That doesn't bother me at all because I'm used to using APS-C cameras, and this one doesn't do that. So it's got, the various 4K and HD flavors. It has got on the top here 4 pre-programmable settings, C1 to C4. For love nor money have I figured out how to program those yet, because I wanted to set C1 as HD slow motion 4 times and then C2 as HD slow motion 8 times. I haven't been able to do that because I haven't worked out how to do it yet. So if any of my viewers actually know how to do that, can you let me know, because that would be really, really appreciated. I can't find any videos on YouTube. There's one guy that does show how to do it, but it's a German video, so I don't understand it because I don't speak German. Now, because it's got an articulating screen, it's great as a vlogging camera. You will see a vlogging clip in this video, and I'll also be doing some filming. I will swap these cameras out and do some filming with this camera. I can't do it at the moment. I've only got the one camera. To show you some of the features, I have to obviously have the camera to hand. I'm just testing the Fuji X-S10 as a vlogging camera. I'm not the one for vlogging, so you have to take it as it is. But I'm just testing it handheld. I'm using the IBIS mode, but I haven't got it in boost. So I've just got it in standard IBIS. It's actually not too heavy a camera. It's quite nice. The grip isn't as good as I expected it to be. My fingers still rub up against the lens, but it's pretty good. Well, I've got a 16-80, the Fuji 16-80 f4 lens on, and that's quite a heavy lens, so probably not the ideal vlogging setup. I would probably still use my Sony ZV-1 for vlogging, but even shooting into light, I think that's working pretty good. It's nice to have this articulating screen, so I can actually glance at it and I can see that I'm in focus, and I can see the little box around my eyes, so it is picking up my eyes, so that's good. And I've got fitted to it with a microphone. I've got the Sennheiser MKE 200 fitted to it. I'd have been better off using a tie clip mic, but as this camera has got a mic input, you can actually choose what microphone you want. So as I say, this is purely handheld with IBIS turned on, but not IBIS boost mode turned on. So now back to my review in the studio of the Fujifilm X-S10. Now on the side here, it's got USB-C as well as a HDMI port. Now the USB-C is great, and I have checked it. It will accept power delivery from a USB block. So if you're running, say, an external block such as this, you can plug that straight into the side of the camera. Let's do that now. That can go straight into there. Make sure your block is turned on. I've got these anchor blocks, they're really, really good. So when you turn the camera on, it's now going to operate via USB. And whether that can clearly be seen, I bet it can't, but in the bottom, sort of bottom right hand corner, there's a sort of like mains plug to show that it's running off an external power supply. Now that is great with these cameras, because the WS126 or W126S battery isn't fantastic, so it doesn't last a great deal of time. At least by running it off USB, you've got no worries about running out of battery, and I think that's a brilliant feature. One of my favourite features of the Sony cameras, that is, I'm running my A7C off its internal battery, which is doing the wide shot just there, because the Z mount batteries are so good. But on the ZV-1s, this little ZV-1 here, which is picking up these close-ups, I'm running it via a USB block because I know the battery ain't going to run out. Absolutely awesome. So that's a great feature. Now, monitoring the sound is done via the USB-C port, which is, again, the same USB-C port. So if you want to monitor sound as well as run external power, well, you can't, effectively. They do supply a little adapter. I've lost one of them already. That's a good start, isn't it? I do supply the little USB-C adapters. Now this is the one that came with my XT200, which is a solid one. That one is great. That will just slot in the side. I say great, sort of great. So that slots in the side there. And that, you can plug your normal 3.5mm jack headphones into that, and that will monitor the sound completely fine. But because of the design of it, it does block the HDMI port. That's fine when you're not using the HDMI port, but if you're output into an Atmos Ninja or anything like that, even just an external monitor, well, again, you can't because it blocks it. So they did supply, which is on my headphones, there it is. They did supply a little cable adapter, which I've got plugged into the headphones. That's a better option. This is the one that came with the X-S10. That plugs into the side and doesn't block the HDMI port. So I just really wish they could have put a 3.5mm headphone jack on it as opposed to doing it via USB. There kind of is space, because at the bottom here there's a space not being used. I would have thought, I mean, Sony being able to do it with the A7C, and that's a really compact camera. It's a shame that Fuji didn't do that with the X-S10, but hey ho. While we're on the subject of HDMI, it has got clean HDMI out, and it feeds a 422 signal out via the HDMI. Internally, it's 420. Externally, it's 422. That is only great, I say only, that is really great if you're doing a lot of colour correction, colour grading. And particularly if you're filming in F-Log, which is Fuji's version of C-Log, S-Log, and the other log profiles that other manufacturers use. Basically, it's for working with really contrasty scenes. It gives you tremendous dynamic range. So you can bring the highlights back down, and you can boost the shadows if you need to. Great if you're doing cinematic productions, or if you're doing high-end, corporate work. I tend to just use the standard profile. I'm just working in the studio here producing these YouTube videos, and I find the standard profile on all of these cameras, whether it be Canon or Sony, works fine for me. Although I have played with VF logs and C logs. You also need LUTs to be able to, you know, edit them and what have you. But I will cover that in another video using an external recorder, because this will work great with an external recorder. And so that's effectively the video features. I would always suggest shooting 4K, whether it be 25p, that's what we do here in the UK, or whether it be 30p in the States, you know. And then if you want to edit in HD, if you're doing multiple camera angles like I am, I tend to edit in HD and shoot in 4K. So what we'll do is stick it on a tripod and we'll do some filming with the X-S10, so you can actually see you know, what the video and audio quality is like. It has got manual audio settings, which is great. You know, you wouldn't want to buy a camera where you can't adjust the audio manually. And it has got your audio display on the back of the screen. It's a very, very small display. It's not as prominent as it is on the Sonys and on the Canon. I love the Sonys. Even with my bad eyes, I can see from a distance the audio levels on the Sony. And I can on the Canon, but I don't think I would be able to on the Fuji. It's a little bit small, but at least it is there, you can see it. And I've pre-assigned a function button for getting to setting the audio level. So I've pre-assigned this one, go into that, and that'll bring up the audio displays. Then what you have to then do is go across to manual, and then you can adjust those levels. The levels are much bigger during the adjustment stage, so that's one good thing. You can clearly see what you're setting. They'll go down, that should be going down, yeah, and then you can slide them up, which is great. But unfortunately, it's 2 or 3 hits on the function bar. Although, saying that, you can do it another way. With the Fujis, they've got a touchscreen method of adjusting your settings in video. I've never used it. I think the concept of it is, because it's touchscreen, it's not going to affect physical controls on the camera if you're doing it while you're filming. But you can go into, can I show you that? Not really. Go into that, yeah, and then you've got all your sudden shutter speed, exposure compensation, etc. Then you'll get to your manual audio controls by doing it via the touchscreen. I tend to use the physical, you know, physical buttons, because I tend not to fiddle with settings while it's filming. I try to make sure I've got it right prior to filming. With the Sony, as a quick example, and pretty much with a Canon, but with the Sony, so that's the Sony a6600, it's exactly the same on the a7C, the a7 III, whatever. I've pre-assigned this button here for adjusting the audio, but you go into that, it's only one click. Then you can start turning your audio levels up and down as you need. It's just a slightly different way of working, but the Fuji is completely fine. It's just slightly slower, you know, but other than that, yeah. So what we'll do now, we shall stick it on the tripod. I shall replace my A7C shot with this one. I've got the 18 to 55 f2.8 lens, f2.8 to f4 lens on, so you'll get to see what the video quality is like. Well, I say you'll get to see what it's like. It's only in one setting, 4K 25p edited in HD. I won't be doing the F logs and all the rest of it, so it will give you a little bit of a flavour of what the autofocus is like and what the camera can do. So let's do that now. So what you're looking at now is the Fuji X-S10. I've swapped it out with the Sony a7C. I'm also running the sound into the Fuji X-S10 via my Saramonic Blink 500 you got here. So we're actually, you know, I'm actually testing the audio quality and video quality. I'm not using a USB power block. I thought I will just run it off a W126 battery. It should be fine for the length of filming this is going to be. Again, on the Canon EOS R, which is doing the close-up shot here, I'm just running its internal, is it LP6, LE6 battery? I'm not sure. And my Canon RP's died on me because I didn't change the battery, but hey-ho. And then I'm still running my ZV-1 over here, which is getting the shots of the Fuji X-S10. I'm loving the colours that come off the X-S10. This is actually, to be honest, the first bit of real filming I've done with the X-S10. And, you know, I've got the autofocus set as it is out of the box. It's on autofocus continuous. I haven't mucked around with the settings for the speed of the autofocus. I basically just got it on face detect, face and eye detect. So, you know, I'm hoping that's nice and crisp and it's looking good. I'd be disappointed if it isn't, but you know, it should be pretty good. And as I say, I'm using the 18 to 55 lens. One lovely feature of the Fuji, which the Sony ZV-1 has, but Sony didn't implement it on the Sony A7C, is a tally light. Do you know, for me, that makes so much difference, because I can clearly see from the front here that the camera is recording. I'm not guessing, and then I don't get to the end of a shoot, then find that it hasn't recorded it. I can clearly see that it is recording. Thank you, Fuji. Fuji introduced that on the X-T3. That's one thing I did love about the X-T3, and it's nice to see they're carrying on that through their range. I'm not shooting in any log profile. It's the standard, I think it's Provia is the standard profile that I'm using. It has got many simulation modes, it's got many profiles. You know, the lovely one Eterna that a lot of people talk about, Provia, and many others. And it's actually set on a dial on the top. I haven't changed that, so you can go through that dial. And so there we are. That's the video and sound quality coming off the new Fujifilm X-S10. A great compact hybrid camera. The stills, as I said in my previous video, there'll be a link up here somewhere to that particular video. And you know, I think as a hybrid camera, it's great. It's a bit quirky in places. Fuji, I think, is a little bit more quirky in places than what other manufacturers are, but overall it's great. I'm really enjoying it. It's nice and light as well. It's not very heavy, and that's great for me because I suffer with a bad arm and a bad back, so the less weight I can carry around, the better. And so there we go. That's my initial thoughts on the Fuji X-S10 as a video camera. It has got a 30-minute record limit. That's one of its downsides. The Sony cameras have unlimited record time. That's one of the major reasons I bought the A7C and the A6600 and many others. It has got no record limit, where the Fuji has. A bit of a pity, possibly, I guess, but can they change that with a firmware update? I don't know. But there we are. But yeah, image quality I think is great. Colours are great, and what have you. So there we go. That's the Fuji X-S10, or my first initial thoughts of a Fuji X-S10 as a video camera. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. I really appreciate everyone who does subscribe. It means so much to me, and it gives me the motivation to want to keep carry on making content for you guys and girls. So thanks very much for that. Hit the like button if you like the contents of this video. Really appreciate that as well. So once again, thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos relating to video and photography. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.